Valentina Fitzpatrick from AvioFit. Welcome to Irish Startup TV.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about the business.
Well, the business started I founded AvioFit, which is the aviators wellbeing consultant. I founded in 2016. I've been working for many years as a flight attendant, and I've noticed in my years of flying that we had a huge issue in supporting cabin crew and pilots to maintain mental and physical well-being. And I've experienced myself some a negative effect of flying on my body and on my mind. And I noticed that these things will happen not only to me, so I wasn't solely myself suffering from this issue, but it was extending to all of my colleagues, whether they were pilots or cabin crew, and some also as an air traffic controller. So in that moment, I decided to do something about it. I'm very passionate about fitness and well-being, and I wanted to be able to merge my knowledge in the aviation industry, the issue that I've experienced myself, merging them with the knowledge of sports science and trying to find a solution or sustainable solution in the aviation industry and support pilots, cabin crew, and all of those people that work in the aviation industry in maintaining their mental and physical well-being.
Very good. I certainly know I traveled a bit last year, and it seems to me if you travel forwards and back in one day, some obvious side effects are extreme tiredness, dehydration.
Yes.
Can you give us a sense of maybe a typical forwards and back route for an average airline out of Dublin, for argument's sake?
Yes, so if we consider an airline a very busy airline, like Ryanair perhaps, which is one of the biggest European airline, you would probably start your day at around 3 o'clock in the morning, and you would have to be in work at around 4:30. So you sign up 45 minutes before your flying time. So in that moment, you just gather with your pilots and with the rest of the crew, and you measuring your day. So you're preparing for your day, whether it's the weather, whether it's what are we going to do, how many passengers we have on board, there's going to be turbulence. And your day started then, and currently the longest sector that Ryanair proposed that does, it's actually 6 sectors, which means you're flying back and forth 6 times to the UK back in Ireland. So that means takeoff, landing, takeoff, landing, takeoff, landing, with virtually 1 hour of in-flight service. And you don't really know what time you're going to land. And normally we're on time, but obviously many things can happen, whether it's a weather condition, whether it's a situation of delays. So really we're talking about 12, 13 hours if we're talking about the normal flying routine, but can also be extended with delay. So you can be working up to 15 or 17 hours. And you need to consider as well the fact that you can be stuck in an aircraft on the ground for several hours if there are weather conditions that won't allow you to fly. So that would be one of the longest, let's say, short haul flight that you can experience in a European airline, obviously, because we're talking in a context of going back and forth between Dublin and London. But there is so many different flights that you would encounter. So those flights will put your body under enormous stress, because you would be put, especially for pilots and cabin crew, because you will be put on a constant, the change of cabin pressure would be a constant issue in there. Whether maybe in a long haul flight, you will probably adjust a little bit more with the cruising, at the cruising level. When you constantly take off and landing, your body will kind of squeeze like a bottle. So we kind of, in a certain way, you see your bottle of water, what happened to that?
That's a very good way of looking at it. Never thought about that before. It's pretty intense, actually.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to describe to people because people doesn't know what's happening inside your body. Cabin crew and pilot don't know very much what's going on in their body. And that's exactly what happened inside each of your organ. They just squeeze and retract. They become like a little balloon, and then
because a huge amount of the body is made out of water.
Exactly. So 95% of water is made of water. So this is one example, but there is many other things that can happen during the flight. You mentioned dehydration. There's hypoxia, which is lack of oxygen. We're experiencing all the time. All of those things add to one another and create some effect on your body. And in the long term, they can be quite damaging if we don't do something about it.
And what kind of policies have airlines got in place at the moment?
Pilots and cabin crew will have to be submitted to medical. For pilots, every 6 months. For cabin crew now, it's every 5 years. However, before entering the role of cabin crew and pilot, you will have to pass a medical. So you have to be medically fit. Now, let's say that there's no really regulation in place for cabin crew. For pilots are very, very strict. Now, obviously, if you suffer from sinus, you might actually bleed. It might be very, very, very painful to fly. So people know quite those things if they fly normally, and they make decision then if that's the job for them, if that's their career path and they can handle it. So the medical are much more a complex issue, and it's obviously like, I don't think 20 minutes is enough to explain it, but
absolutely. But are there policies in place right now there are?
Yeah, the policy in place are, but number one, obviously, if you suffer from depression, this is not a job for you. So you be clinically interviewed. That's in regard pilots. They go through a very, very kind of deep type of medical and thorough medical. And they be asking a certain question, like, and not only at the medical level, if they have cardiovascular disease, if they've suffered the depression from the past, if there is any mental issue in place, if they suffer from heart conditions, and their eyesight as well is something really important. So there are certain things in place for them which are really, really clinical aspect of the medical. For cabin crew, it's a little less, there is a less regulation around that. And I think it's an error in that case because, we both need to be fit to fly.
Absolutely.
And it's absolutely pivotal that regulation change to fit human beings. And at the moment, we're not at the point where yet regulatory body support the human inside the aviation industry. So we need to really put human at the center of the aviation industry. While at the moment we just become a very automated technologies, it's very refined, which is fantastic. But at the same time, we need to think about the person behind the machine, which remain really fundamental and very important.
So this is where your technology, this is where your product fits in. So is your customer then, is it the airline or is it the individual aviator or cabin crew?
The customer for us is it's basically the airline in itself, because the airline has the power to bring solution and to create a platform to help the staff. Of course, we are worried about the individual itself, but without working together with the airline and with the government body like the European Safety Authority and trying to change those regulations, then we won't be able to make changes. Like we be just kind of, the pilots and cabin crew need help, of course, like many other people in, professional in the aviation industry. But we tackle first regulation, and we tackle first the government body, which are able to make this decision and make changes. So we all need to be educated. And I think AvioFit sits exactly in the middle, in between cabin crew and pilot staff and those people that can make those changes.
What does it look like if right now, if I'm the CEO of an airline and you're pitching me and I say, well, it sounds very clever. What are the next steps?
Yes, absolutely. You're right. And consider I created this startup by myself, and I'm the first aviation wellbeing consultant at this moment in Europe. Our product, it's an education product. We have created a module to introduce to our current crew resource management, to our current drills, which is very clinical. So what we wanted to do is educate and create awareness, and in a positive way, trying to connect with this government body and the airline, and just teach and educate pilots, cabin crew, and the management on how to become resilient and to find sustainable solution for pilots, cabin crew, and all of those that works in the aviation industry.
Very good. And when you say your current training modules, you mean for incumbent airlines?
Yes.
So you're providing a consultancy service that's supported
Exactly.
by training modules that are designed to seamlessly integrate into existing or incumbent
Exactly.
airline training modules.
Yes.
Perfect. And
Yes.
in that regard, you have a history of training within the aviation industry, if I've
Exactly.
understood
So
correctly.
actually, like it's quite complicated and it's a complex thing. But in few words, yes, as I'm a CRM instructor, so I'm an instructor myself. CRM means crew resource management. So it means to focus on the human side of our job, which is communication and situational awareness. So it's all the non-technical part of the aviation industry, which miss greatly from a side where we can be educated about health and well-being and how to look after our body during our career. So there's everything in there with the exception of health and well-being, which is a fundamental part of being able to do this job. So I have introduced and created those modules so that we can introduce and we can actually educate people on those things. So our modules are, so CRM, it's actually something that every cabin crew will have to go every year. So it's compulsory for pilots and cabin crew. So all we do is just to add a little part where we can talk about mental health and well-being, nutrition and hydration are all small things that people forget about, but they're part of our daily life.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. So this is a bolt-on service that can be integrated into regular training that is already happening
Exactly.
every year. Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
So what's next then from the business point of view? How
So,
long have you been doing this, and
yeah.
what are the next big critical milestones?
Well, I've been doing this on my own for the last year and a half. I have a few people on board now that help me. I'm a wonderful board of advisor, Bernice Moran-Deneve. She's a pilot and a captain in Virgin Airways.
Amazing.
And she also owns a business herself. So this is I have a great support now. What coming next is we actually wanted to move toward technology as well, being able to reach airline in the way they move, because I've realized also that, yes, I want to touch the human being, but it's also true that the aviation industry is the greatest industry. So in terms to reach many people, we need to create something that it's also suitable for people when they, in other country when they travel. So we want to move also in a 5-year time to build a sustainable place within the airline itself, in the crew room themselves, where the airline is based, and we want to create a space where people can and post-flight be able to distress, whether there is yoga, meditation, massage, and physical well-being provided to them in their own home.
That sounds fantastic. I'm just, I don't know if you could see my eyes beginning to smile, because I could see with certain airlines, I think it could be very challenging to say, what crews are people? Come on, forget about it.
Yes, it is fantastic. We have actually airlines that are interested in supporting us. Otherwise, I would have never been able to do that. And airlines are aware. People made those airlines, and they want to make changes, and they want to support AvioFit. So, and that's what it kind of makes me carry on, because I know I have so many people around in the industry that support this project and this startup.
Fantastic. That's amazing. Look, I see big things for you, because
Thank you.
It seems, yeah, I absolutely am aware of the challenges that going backwards and forwards to the UK or to France for a day. I'm exhausted, and I don't have to put any of this effort in. Once I arrived, my life was pretty straightforward. So I can certainly get a sense of the strain.
Yes.
That's something that I never thought about before. And I'm delighted to hear that people are like yourself looking into making life easier for the cabin crew and also for the aviators involved. That's really great.
We're trying. Also because I just, Richard, I want to just close with this, but it's really, really important. We're not doing this just because people have to look well and feel well only solely. Okay, of course we want that as well, but we want to reduce human error in aviation and promote safety, because the majority of accidents that happen in aviation, actually the 80% of accidents that happen in aviation are caused by human error, mostly by fatigue. So if we don't act now in putting the human being at the center of the aviation industry, we will never be able to improve those 80%. We want to really make as less accident and incident as possible.
That's fantastic, because the other side of it is that you must attract the smartest people and the most conscientious people on the crew side, because you want to be a caring person to do that job, and you want to help people.
Of course, of course.
It's very important then that there are tools and technologies and resources in place to support those people to be the best that they can be.
Yes, because a pilot loves his job, a cabin crew love a job. I loved my job, and pilots spend a huge amount of money to take up their license. They need to be healthy.
Valentina Fitzpatrick of AvioFit, delighted to have this opportunity to chat with you today.
Thank you,
really
Richard.
excited really inspired by your project, and look forward to keeping in touch with the progress over the coming years.
Thank you very much, Richard, for having me. I'm
Thank
delighted.
you.
Thanks very much. Thank you.